Hello, and welcome back to another reaction. In this occasion, Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 1, Episode 12. Yes, we're finally here. We're finally in the episode that you have been hyping all the way around. I have no idea what to expect from this episode, honestly, because so far the series has been marvelous, and even the episode that you said was probably the worst episode of the entire series. It was still pretty good. It wasn't cringy, it wasn't boring, it wasn't uninteresting, and buried within the said episode, it's a neat message, it's a neat character development for Aang. So yes, I'm waiting so much from this episode. I don't know why it's so hype. I have no clue, because so far I haven't been able, and yes, my brain has been trying to process why this episode is so beloved, what it makes it stand out, but I don't think you're here just to hear this presentation and just to hear me ramble and interpret something that I have no clue what it's about. So yeah, let's just cut this presentation and watch the next episode, shall we? Okay, I'm back. I just watched a second time, and honestly a third and a fourth time, the 12th episode of the series of the first book. I'm I'm starting to understand why is this important. Perhaps I still not comprehend the full extent of this episode. It is important, yes, it is important. It develops characters in a certain way that is fascinating. And I mean our two, our main character, in this case Aang, and our main antagonist, or at least an antagonist with a face, in this case Prince Zuko. These two characters are the ones that took the spotlight in this episode. And why I said I'm still not sure I comprehend the importance of the episode. This episode from the beginning, well, not from the beginning of the episode, from the beginning of the episode, it was kind of a normal one, run-of-the-mill episode, from another perspective. I knew that this was an important one, so from the beginning I was kind of excited for that. But I was excited for the wrong reasons. I was kind of guessing that perhaps this is from a great fight scene, or perhaps we finally saw the Fire Lord and we saw something else, or the introduction of a new character, or whatever. That's what my point of perspective was from the hype. I thought it was just that. Obviously, it's not the case. It's something a lot more deeper, and I think a little bit more subtle. Again, perhaps if I saw the entire series, I will start to understand why is this considered the best episode. But for that, obviously, I need to see the rest of the series. And this is something that you told me before. That this, in comparison with the rest, and once you saw the entire series, you start to understand that. So that's why. I kind of understand, because what we saw in this one is genuinely important. Is for us trying to understand that we are not receiving a plain character, not Aang and not Zuko, because again, those two are the ones that took the spotlight. Let's go first with Aang, and trying to understand how this episode affects what we saw previously and what we are going to see into the future. Aang, so far, it has always been the child, the kid. And again, that is understandable. He's in a mental state 11 or 12, I don't recall. He's still a kid, even if his body has lived for 112 years. Obviously, 100 of those years were in ice. He hasn't experimented anything new in those 100 years. But obviously, that's why his mental state is that of a kid. Of, yeah, nothing happened for him. He didn't perceive the 100 years that passed. He just perceived, like, I don't know, a day, or he was just asleep and then he woke up, as he told us. He told us in the flashback. But everything that was took away from him is what created this problem. Back then, he was just a normal kid. Every single one of them, the other kids that were in the air temple, were just having fun. Yes, he was perhaps more advanced in the knowledge of the air bending, for obviously being the Avatar. But still, they treat him like a normal kid that they want to play games. Everything changes when he discovered, or when it's told that he was the Avatar, because my guess, that was a secret between those five, I don't know, main monks, the people who really are in charge of the temple. That's what I assume. And after that, that's when the attitude of everybody start to change towards Aang. Because, yeah, even the kids, they did not revere him as the Avatar. They did not say, oh yes, you are so sacred that we cannot play it with you. No, the attitude was different. They still believe him as Aang, as their friend, but it will be unfair for the rest of them to fight, or to play against the Avatar. And that's why, sorry, but we cannot play. That would not be fair. And that is just an example. I guess this happens a lot more times. That he cannot be with the normal people now that everybody knows. Or at least that now that everybody in the temple knows that he is the Avatar. And that obviously create a problem for Aang. But one of the monks, oh god, I forgot his name. Good thing I write it down. Kyatso. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Kyatso is trying to give him a normal life. Trying to say he's still a kid. He is still growing up. He needs to have fun. His life cannot be only training. This is an example, and I'm going to take something from an anime that I'm a great fan of. From Boku no Hero Academia, or My Hero Academia. Which, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a great anime. We have a similar example for this. I know I had joked that Zuko is kind of the Todoroki of the show, of this show, or perhaps it will be the other way around. Anyway, that is not the point I want to make. For those who don't know, the minority, I guess. For those who don't know, Todoroki was trained almost in the moment his quirk was developed. His power was developed, the fire and ice. And it was brutal training. And this developed a very troubled child, a very troubled personality, that he cannot express his emotions, the hatred towards his father, this attitude of trying to prove himself without using the side of his father gave him. All of that because of the training, of the brutal training, because he cannot even go play with his brothers and sister. So that's something that is creating a troubled individual. And if they continue with that path, with the Avatar, putting on the side of the Avatar, not on the side of Prince Zuko, with the side of the Avatar, if they will continue to just develop the physical abilities or the Avatar abilities, the vending abilities of Aang, they will have created a troublesome individual. In the end, perhaps a soulless being, or I don't know, not a balanced individual, which is obviously something that you need when you have the avatar, because you don't not only need to balance the vending abilities, you need to balance your emotions. And with the attitude of the monks, I don't think that would have been possible. So one of the monks, really a very wise one, the Gyatso guy, the Gyatso monk, was in the right path. Yes, he needs to train, but there is a limit. And still he needs to be a kid, he needs to have fun, he needs to enjoy life. And that's what he tried to do. And in the moment Avatar figured out that they were taking away this from him, he ran away. Because again, this is a kid, this is not an adult running away from responsibilities. This is a kid running away from something that was not even his choice. Yes, those are his responsibilities, of course. He shouldn't have done that, perhaps. But he is still a kid. This is not a grown-up adult. It was a kid when he decided to run away. And it makes sense for him to do that, for him to run away. It makes sense. And that is great storytelling, because they are justifying, without making him a coward, they are justifying all that is happening in the first episode, what we figured out in the first episodes. And that makes me appreciate Gyatso a lot more, because he was in the right state of mind. Even though there was a storm coming, obviously not a literal storm in the past, but a figurative storm, they still need to do something else. And yes, just as I said in previous videos, perhaps this is destiny, perhaps this is something that it was meant to happen. That in case, so they can protect the Avatar, because yes, the Fire Nation will attack the Wind Temple, the Air Temple, sorry. And they will have killed everybody. But since Aang wasn't there, he was spared. And that's how now he can develop his powers and of course defeat the Fire Nation. Yeah, I guess just as Katara said, this is destiny. Now, moving on to Prince Zuko, the other main character of this episode. Now I start to understand why he is obsessed with the Avatar. For honestly, an injustice that happens in the past, and his scar is now well explained, and why his uncle, I guess, decided to follow him. Yes, we saw the conflict within the crew of the ship from the beginning of the episode. And the crew was discontent because they don't know what happened to the prince, what happened to Zuko. And they obviously don't know until they are told what exactly happened to him. Zuko was eager to rule the nation, to learn how to rule the nation, because yes, he was probably going to rule one day, because he is a prince, the son of the Fire Lord, and he wants to learn. But still, he still has this sense that you must protect everybody, you must fight with honor. In this case, even in war, there must be honor, and you cannot use these cheap tactics to just gain an advantage. The tactics of using just young people, inexperienced people against experienced and powerful people, so you can create a trap and yeah, win that battle. He was completely against that because he believes that all his people need to be protected and everybody needs to give a chance to fight honorably. That's what I assume. It's not entirely said that, but that's what I assume. And this provoked the anger of the generals, but more importantly, the anger of the Fire Lord. And yes, in the duel, which Zuko assumed was against the general, no, it was against the Fire Lord. And obviously, my guess, he's an amazing bender. He's the master of the fire bending. He's not somebody who is just going easy on his own son. For the duel itself, is obviously this is an important aspect of this culture, and obviously he was not going to be an easy task for Zuko. Perhaps he will have died while in the duel because he was weak and was considered weak, and therefore he is not fit to rule. That's what I assume again. And this gives us a different perspective of Zuko. Yes, in the past we have seen that he is not one-dimensional character. He's not just the villain, and he's not just, yeah, or I'm a bad guy. No. But this solidifies that aspect. That is more than one dimension that we have with Zuko. He cares for his people. Yes, he is obsessed with the Avatar to the point in which obviously he was willing to risk everybody's life, including his own. But he cares for his people. And yeah, in the end he even rescued this, one of the men that was about to fall. And this kind of solidified the loyalty of the crew with the prince. This was something that he needed. For the perspective of a commander, for the perspective of somebody who is in charge of people, they needed to see this aspect. Not only hear about it, because yes, obviously the terrible thing that happened with the Fire Lord and Prince Zuko, but actually see him that he cares about his people. Because now the story is being solidified, the story that maybe the uncle could have made up. But now it's been solidified by the actions of the prince. So now he has a more loyal crew. And with the aspect of the end that no, let's not pursue the Avatar, let's just get this ship to safety. Let's not risk more men in the pursuit of the Avatar. Now, obviously, the last scene, before going to some other conclusions that I want to speak about, the last scene in which we saw kind of the connection between Aang and Zuko. We saw a connection there. Because they saw each other. And I don't know what to take away from that. Yes, they have similar stories. They are being, one ran away and the other was vanished. One's trying to save the world, the other one is trying to save the honor of himself. Yes, there is a connection between these two. I don't know exactly what is that, but I can sense the connection there. Now, there are some things I want to speak about that I noticed in the episode. First of all, the Fire Lord is still being dehumanized. He's portrayed as this ruthless monster. Why I said this? Because we haven't seen his face. And when you don't show the face of somebody, it's because you don't want to perceive him as a human. Because, as we know, the eyes are the gates to the soul. And when you hide the eyes, and when you hide the expression from anything else, from the face, that is one of the first things that a human being notices, you dehumanize your character. But obviously this is intentional, because he's the big bad guy. He's the big evil that needs to be taken down. And yes, from what we have seen, he is not a nice person. That's a nice parent. That's what I wanted to say, because yeah, obviously we know that. The way he treats his son. Another thing I want to speak about is the dream that Prince Zuko had. He's been playing with some other kids, and another adult is within there. I assume it's either the uncle when he was much younger, or the mother, because the father is out of the picture. From what I have seen so far from the father, is that he's just a ruthless being, that he doesn't care about his children other than to train him to be just like him, this ruthless being. So yes, those are my assumptions. Is either the uncle or the mother that we're seeing in this happy place alongside with the other kid. And the third aspect, we saw the detailed faces of several generals in the duel. Obviously, the uncle, the commander that we know so well, and obviously the general in the background, and some other extras which are not detailed enough. You're just there to fill the background, which obviously is not something that you need to pay attention, but yeah, I'm obsessed with background points. And we saw what I assume is a girl in the foreground. I don't know who she is, but my guess she is important, because I don't think they just let a kid, because yeah, she looks like a kid, just alongside with generals. So she's important. Who she is, I don't know. I kind of remember seeing her here and there, but I don't remember the context in which I saw her. I just saw the image from there a long time ago when Avatar was just going out. I kind of remember her face, but I don't have any idea of who she is. But I guess she's important for the way she was framed, for the place she was in. And another aspect I want to speak about is what Uncle Iroh did. Within the storm, several things was happening in the boat. Obviously, the chaos of the storm, everything was going crazy, but the thunder was what caught my attention. One of the thunders hit the ship, but that was the important one. When the second one was about to hit it, Uncle Iroh did something amazing, kind of grabbed the thunder and redirect it to another safe place, or at least safe for them. Yes, he was burned, but that was amazing. Just which level you need to have for you to be able to do that, and how amazing Uncle Iroh is for being able to control a thunder. It's just amazing. Yeah, that leave a huge impact in me. This was a wonderful episode. I think it's been my longest commentary so far of any episode of Avatar, because it deserved. There is so many things to analyze, so many things to understand. But yeah, I think I will appreciate even more this episode once I start to see the rest of the series. A great episode, a lot of information that we gained here, but I think I exhausted the topic of this one. I hope you enjoy it, and yes, as always, thank you for your attention, and see you on the next one. Bye!
Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, give it a like, so the algorithm from YouTube will help me out. And check my other videos, share them, and also why not subscribe to my channel and join this community. And as always, I want to thank you for your attention, your likes, and even your dislikes, your comments, which is something I always look forward to read. And yeah, once more, thanks, and see you on the next one.